am Professor Namita Rajput, Professor in Department of Commerce, Sri Aurobindo College, University of Delhi. In the ongoing series of corporate governance, we are talking today about the whistleblowing different aspects. So let's dwell into some strategies for creating the whistleblowing safe environment, because they are very vulnerable and they have some psychological issues also. So we need to address this part very efficiently, rationally, and basically if we have some clear policies and procedures in place, we are going to ensure that the employees understand these reporting concerns, provide some multiple reporting channels where they feel comfortable, and definitely the secrecy is maintained as to who is reporting and who is blowing the whistle. We should also have some non-retaliation policy, like it should be zero tolerant in terms of who retaliates in relation to whistleblowing must be addressed, promptly investigated. Then we need to educate the staff also relating to the whistleblowing ethical decision making and the policies for reporting a misconduct. Not only this, there has to be a leadership commitment to demonstrate that the leadership commitment to whistleblowing and the ethical conduct by setting a positive example, actively promoting a speak up culture, and holding the individuals accountable for the misconduct. The leaders should actually communicate very openly about the importance of whistleblowing and encourage the employees to raise the concerns without any fear. Then of course, anonymous reporting mechanisms will also play a very vital role in this regard, which definitely ensures that the anonymous reports are taken very seriously and investigated promptly and impartially. Not only this, we should have some support resources for the whistleblowers, including access to counseling, the legal advice, and the peer support networks. There has to be a transparency and accountability also. It fosters a culture of transparency and accountability by communicating openly about the outcomes of whistleblowing investigations and the actions taken to address a misconduct. We need to demonstrate that the organization takes whistleblowing very seriously and is committed to addressing the concerns in a fair and a timely manner. There has to be a continuous improvement, regularly review and evaluate the effectiveness of whistleblowing policies and procedures, soliciting some feedback from employees and the stakeholders to identify the areas of improvement. So, continuously monitoring the organization culture and the climate to ensure that it remains supportive of the whistleblowing and the ethical behavior. By implementing these strategies, organizations can create a safe and supportive environment that encourages a whistleblowing and enables the individuals to come forward with the concerns about a misconduct without a fear of retaliation or the adverse consequences. So, this not only helps to detect and address the wrongdoing, but also fosters a culture of integrity, trust, and accountability that benefits the organization as a whole. So, whistleblowing in the healthcare, ensuring a patient's safety. Whistleblowing in healthcare is very crucial for ensuring a patient's safety and maintaining the highest standards of care. So, there are definitely some whistleblowings which can contribute to a patient's safety in the healthcare, like detection of the medical errors and unsafe practices. Whistleblowing can help identifying the medical errors, unsafe practices, lapses in the patient care that may compromise a safety of the patient. The healthcare workers who witness a negligence, malpractices, or the violations of the safety protocols can actually report these concerns through whistleblowing mechanisms, leading to prompt investigation and the corrective action. Now, prevention of harmful practices, that is, the whistleblowing can prevent a harmful practices that endanger a patient's safety, like over prescribing medications, performing unnecessary procedures, ignoring the infection control protocols. So, by speaking up about the unethical or unsafe practices, the healthcare workers can actually help preventing the adverse effects and protect the patients from the harm. Now, reporting of misconduct and abuse. The whistleblowing plays a very crucial role in reporting a misconduct, abuse and mistreatment of the patient by the healthcare providers. This includes instances of the physical, verbal, neglecting, exploitation, violation of the patient rights. Whistleblowers can actually ensure that the patients are treated with dignity, respect, compassion, and are the perpetrators of abuse are held accountable. The next is your identification of a systematic issues. Whistleblowing can uncover the systemic issues within the healthcare organization that contribute to the patient safety concerns. This may include understaffing, inadequate training, equipment failures, communication breakdowns, and other systemic failures that compromise the quality of the race. By bridging the attention of these issues, the whistleblowers can advocate for systemic changes to improve the patient's safety. Promotion of a culture of safety and accountability. The whistleblowing promotes a culture of safety, accountability within the healthcare organization by encouraging open communication, transparency, and accountability for the patient care. The healthcare workers who feel empowered to raise their concerns about the patient safety contribute to a culture where errors can be addressed proactively rather than being swept under the rug. Improvement of regulatory compliance. Whistleblowing can really help the healthcare organizations identify and address the non-compliance with the regulatory requirements and the quality standards that impact the patient's safety. So, definitely, by reporting violation of the laws, regulations and accreditation standards, whistleblowers facilitate the compliance efforts and ensure that the patient receive a care that meets the highest standards of quality and the safety. Enhancement of the patient trust and the confidence. Whistleblowing contributes to the enhancement of patient trust and the confidence in the healthcare system by demonstrating a commitment to the transparency, accountability and the patient-centered care. The patients are more likely to trust the healthcare providers and institutions that prioritize the patient safety and respond effectively to the concerns raised by the whistleblowers. So, overall, the whistleblowing plays a very vital role in safeguarding the patient safety in the healthcare by empowering the healthcare workers to speak up about the concerns and identifying the areas of improvement, providing a culture of safety and accountability. By supporting the whistleblowers and addressing their concerns promptly and effectively, the healthcare organizations can enhance a patient care and improve the outcomes for the patient. Whistleblowing in the organization government is a fundamental mechanism for promoting the accountability, transparency, and the integrity in the public administration. So, definitely, how the whistleblower contributes to these law as far as this department is concerned, let's explain that. The whistleblowing in the government accountability and the transparency, the first and the foremost point what we are going to discuss is the exposure of corruption and the misconduct. The whistleblowing helps expose the corruption, fraud, waste, abuse of power and other forms of misconduct within the government agencies. The whistleblowers can actually play a very critical role in uncovering the wrongdoings that may otherwise remain hidden, holding a public official and agencies accountable for their actions. The next is your protection of the public funds. Whistleblowing helps protect the public funds and resources by uncovering the instances of public management, mismanagement, embezzlement of contract, fraud and other fiscal irregularities. By reporting these abuses, the whistleblowers help ensure that taxpayers' money is used responsibly and effectively and efficiently for the benefit of the public at large. Prevention of civil right violations. The whistleblowing can prevent a civil right violation and abuses of authority by the government officials. The whistleblowers who report the instances of discrimination, harassment, police misconduct and other violation of the civil rights, they help protect the rights and the dignity of the individuals and the community. Enhancement of the government accountability is another important point. The whistleblowing enhances the government accountability by providing a mechanism for oversight and also the transparency. When the whistleblowers raise their concerns about the government actions or the policies, it enables the public scrutiny, investigation, and the corrective action to address any deficiency or the failures in the governance. The next is your promotion of ethical conduct. The whistleblowing promotes the ethical conduct and adherence to the legal and the ethical standards within the government agencies. By exposing their unethical behavior and holding the wrongdoers accountable, whistleblowers help reinforce the importance of integrity, honesty, and the ethical leadership in public service. Protection of national security. The whistleblowing can actually contribute to the national security by uncovering the threats, vulnerabilities, or abuse within the government agencies responsible for security and intelligence. So, whistleblowers who disclose the information about the illegal surveillance, intelligence failures, and other national security concerns, it can really help protect the country from internal and external threats. The next important point is the support for the whistleblower rights. Whistleblowing laws and protection, it ensures that the whistleblowers are safeguarded against the retaliation and provided with the legal recourse if they experience the adverse consequences for reporting a misconduct. By protecting the whistleblower rights, the government demonstrates a commitment to accountability, transparency, and the rule of law. Promotion of public trust and confidence. The whistleblowing promotes a public trust and confidence in the government by demonstrating a commitment to the transparency, accountability, and the ethical governance. When the whistleblowers are supported and their concerns are taken seriously, it really helps building a trust with the citizens and their government, fostering a stronger democracy. So, whistleblowing in the government is essential for upholding the democratic values, ensuring the proper functioning of the public institutions, and holding the government officials accountable to the people they serve. By empowering the whistleblowers and addressing their concerns, the government can strengthen the accountability, transparency, and integrity in the public administration, leading to better outcomes for the society as a whole. Whistleblowers' protection laws vary significantly from country to country, with some nations offering a robust legal framework to safeguard the whistleblowers and others providing the minimal or no protection. Now, let's see the whistleblower protection laws, a global perspective. So, first we will be talking about the United States. The United States has several whistleblower protection laws, including the Whistleblower Protection Act, which protects the federal employees who report a misconduct. The other laws like a False Claim Act, the Dodd-Frank Act, and the Sarbanes-Oxley Act, they often offer protection for the whistleblowers who report of fraud, security violations, and other types of wrongdoing in the specific industries. Now, let's talk about the European Union. The European Union has adopted the directives and regulations to harmonize the whistleblowing protection laws across its member states. The EU Whistleblowing Protection Directive, adopted in 2019, it requires the member states to establish a comprehensive whistleblowing protection framework that covers a wide range of sectors, including the public and the private enterprises. The EU Whistleblowing Protection Directive, adopted in 2019, it requires the member states to establish a comprehensive whistleblower protection framework that covers a wide range of sectors, holding the public and the private entities. The next is your UK, that is United Kingdom. The United Kingdom has whistleblower protection laws that apply to both public as well as the private sector employees. The Public Sector Disclosure Act, that is PIDA, It provides the protection for the whistleblowers who report certain types of wrongdoing, including the criminal offences, breaches of legal obligations, and the danger to the public health and the safety. Let's now talk about Australia. Australia has whistleblower protection laws that apply to both the public as well as the private sector. The Public Interest Disclosure Act, that is PIDA, provides the protection for the whistleblowers who report misconduct, corruption, and other wrongdoings within the government agencies. Additionally, the Corporation Act includes the provision to protect the whistleblowers who report a corporate misconduct, fraud, and other violation of the security laws. Let's now talk about Canada. Canada has a whistleblower protection law at both the federal and the provinces levels. The Public Servant Disclosure Protection Act, that is PSDPA, it provides a protection for the federal government employees who report the wrongdoings. Many provinces also have a whistleblower protection laws that apply to the employees in the public sector. Now let's talk about India. India has limited whistleblower protection laws with the provisions scattered across the various statutes and the regulations. The Whistleblower Protection Act passed in 2011. It provides some protection for the whistleblowers who report corruption and other offences by the public servants. However, the law has been criticized for its narrow scope and the law of enforcement mechanisms. Now, let's talk about South Africa. South Africa has a whistleblower protection laws that applies to both the public and the private sector. The PDA, that is Public Disclosure Act, provides the protection for the whistleblowers who report misconduct, corruption, and other wrongdoings in that place. The law prohibits the retaliation against the whistleblowers and allow for a legal recourse if they experience any form of adverse consequences for reporting the wrongdoings. Let's now talk about the Brazil. Brazil has whistleblower protection laws that applies to both public and the private sector. The Clean Company Act, law number 12846/2013. It includes the provision to protect the whistleblowers who report the corruption, fraud, and other violations of the anti-corruption laws. Additionally, the Brazil Federal Constitution include the protection for the whistleblowers who report wrongdoings in the public sector. Now, while many countries have whistleblower protection laws in place, the effectiveness of these laws can vary depending on the factors like enforcement mechanism, cultural attitude towards the whistleblowing, and the level of political will to combat the corruption and the misconduct. Despite these challenges, the whistleblower protection laws are very essential for promoting the transparency, accountability, and integrity in both the sectors. Now, investigating the whistleblower's allegation, let's discuss certain best practices. Investigating whistleblower allegation, it requires a very careful and thorough approach to ensure the fairness, accuracy, and integrity. So, here are some best practices for conducting the investigations regarding the whistleblower's allegation, out of which the first is your prompt response. Taking whistleblower allegations seriously and respond promptly to initiate an investigation. Any delay in addressing the whistleblower concerns can actually erode the trust and the confidence and the risk of the further harm or the wrongdoing. The next is your impartiality and independence. It should ensure that investigation is conducted by individuals who are impartial, independent, and are free from the conflicts of interest. Investigations should be very objective unbiased in their assessment of the allegations, avoiding any perception of the favoritism, nepotism, or any kind of prejudice. The first is your confidentiality. We need to maintain a confidentiality throughout the investigation process to protect and identify the whistleblower and prevent the retaliation or intimidation. We need to limit the access to the sensitive information to only those individuals directly involved in the investigation and clearly communicating the expectations regarding the confidentiality to all the parties involved. Through the documentation, documenting all aspects of investigation, including the whistleblower's allegation, evidence gathered, the interviews conducted, and the decision made. We need to maintain a detailed record to ensure the transparency, accountability, and the compliance with the legal and the regulatory aspects. The first is gathering the evidence. The collecting of and analyzing of this evidence is very substantial for refuting the whistleblower's allegation. This may include the documents, emails, financial records, witness statements, and other corroborating evidence. Now, we need to ensure that the evidence is obtained legally, ethically, followed established the investigative procedures and the product. The next is your investigating a whistleblower allegation. Some best practices is interviewing the witness. Interview the witness, include the whistleblower and the individuals implicated in the allegations to gather the information and the perspectives on the situation. The next is your fairness and the due process. Conduct an investigation with fairness, transparency, and the due process, affording all the parties involved an opportunity to present their side of the story and respond to the allegations. We need to treat all individuals with respect, dignity, adhering to the principles of the natural justice and the procedural fairness. The next is your risk assessment and mitigation. We need to assess the potential risk associated with the allegations, including the risk to individuals, the organizations, and the external stakeholders. We need to develop the strategies to mitigate these risks and protect the interest of all the parties involved, including the measures to ensure the safety and the well-being of the whistleblower. The next is your investigating the whistleblower's allegation best practices, reporting and communication. We need to provide the updates and the communication to key stakeholders, including a senior management, board of members, regulatory authorities, and the whistleblower as an appropriate. We need to communicate the outcomes of the investigation done in a very clear and transparent and timely manner, maintaining a confidentiality and the privacy as necessary. The next point is your concrete action and the follow-up. We need to take some appropriate actions based on the findings of the investigation, including some disciplinary measures, policy changes, training initiatives, and other remedial actions. We also need to monitor the implementation of the corrective measures and the follow-up to ensure that the issues identified through the investigation are effectively addressed and prevented from recurring. So, by adhering to these best practices, organizations can actually conduct a thorough and effective investigations into a whistleblowing allegations, promote the accountability, and foster a culture of transparency and a trust within the workplaces. Now, whistleblowing hotlines and reporting mechanisms are very essential tools for the misconduct, fraud, and other wrongdoings in a confidential and a secure manner. So, here are some common types of whistleblowing hotlines and the reporting technical aspects. The first is anonymous hotlines. Anonymous hotlines allow the individuals to report the concerns confidentiality without revealing their identity. The calls or the messages to the hotlines are typically answered by the trained professionals who conduct the information, provide and ensure the whistleblowers' identities remain anonymous throughout the reporting practices. The online reporting systems are also very important in this regard. These systems may include a web form, email, dedicated reporting portals where the whistleblowers are supposed to submit a detailed information about their concerns. So, the online reporting mechanisms should allow the anonymous reporting to protect the whistleblower's identity. The next is your third party hotlines. Some organizations engage a third party providers to operate whistleblowing hotlines on their behalf. So, the third party hotlines often individual, independent and confirmed reporting channels that are separate from the organization internal reporting mechanisms. Definitely providing an additional layer of anonymity and impartiality for the whistleblowers. The next is your telephone hotlines. Telephone hotlines allow the individuals to report a concern by a phone call, speaking directly with the trained operators and document the information period. The telephone hotlines may be toll free or have a dedicated phone number for the whistleblowers to call, ensure accessibility and ease to use. The next is your in-person reporting. In some cases, the organization may offer in-person reporting mechanisms like designated reporting offices, etc. They can meet with the trained personnel to discuss their concerns about the confidentiality settings. So, in-person reporting mechanisms may be particularly useful for the individuals who prefer a face-to-face interaction or who have a complex sensitive issues to report. Then is through a mobile app. Then of course, whistleblowers may provide the features like as secure as messaging, attachments, real-time updates on the status of the report. Next is your multilingual support. To accommodate the diverse workforce population, whistleblowing hotlines and reporting mechanisms may offer a multilingual support to ensure that the individuals can report the concerns in their preferred language. Thank you so much.